Hello again, I'm Ella, and this is Relane, a space for self awareness, growth, and real conversations. So, why do we seek for identification? There are so many things that we identify with. Being busy was the example I gave in the first video that I made. I think we all know that a lot of people seek to be important by saying they are busy. I'm sure you have someone in mind. The thing is, being busy isn't a bad thing. The problem is when we start identifying. You have to be as productive as possible, and the things that you do have to bring something in the external world. Whenever we prioritize the external world and we choose to do things that are productive, that bring money, that bring status, that bring power, or whatever, we always leave something on the other side, something that we don't do. The more we prioritize here, the less we do here. External, internal. And every time you choose to not do something for yourself, something that makes you happy, which maybe isn't productive, maybe will not bring you success, but it's a part of you. Whenever you choose not to do here something, that is sacrifice. And the more sacrifice you do, the bigger this gap is becoming. Sacrifice has a negative connotation, and you could relate it to pain. So the more sacrifice you do, the more pain you feel. Maybe you don't feel it directly, but it is there. It is like something heavy there. The pain is somewhere. It's like a rock inside of you. I'm sure that you all feel it. I'm really sure that you all feel it, this rock, if you really listened to yourself. We think we know who we are, but mostly we don't. There is this version of ourselves that we tried to build for us, for the world. And it's a mixture of all kinds of things that we identify with. I am a nice person. I am not such a nice person. I am talented. I am smart. I am strong. I am emotional. I am spiritual. I am not so spiritual. I am hardworking. I am lazy. I am busy. I am not busy enough. There are so many things that we identify with. And every identification is a layer. A layer that we build around us during time, since childhood. We build and build and build it and build it, and we accumulate, and we define. How do you define a nice person? For every person, the definition is different. But the fact that we have a definition in our heads and we imagine what a nice person should look like and should be like. That's identification, because you're trying to reach that. You're always trying to reach that image. What does a strong person look like? What does a spiritual person look like? What does a talented person look like? What does a hardworking person look like? And we define all these things because we identify with it. And we sacrifice because things that bring us joy and make us happy do not belong in this big picture. So we let that out and we get lost in the external and in our definitions. We get so lost that we actually don't know where we are, who we are, where we are and who we are. And where do we even want to get? We think we know, but we don't actually. These definitions are illusions that we will never reach. And whenever we make a mistake, or our plan didn't work out exactly as we thought it would have, or there is a delay, or today you didn't manage to do all the things that you wanted to do today, you judge yourself, and you tell yourself you are not good enough. But you cannot be good enough in that way. You look up to an illusion. We sacrifice, we judge, and we seek for validation. You seek validation because you know deep inside you that you're sacrificing. You know that you're hurting. We are hurting because we think that this is the way. First of all, nobody asked you to do that. You think you had to do it, but actually it was always your choice. So seeking validation from the external for what you sacrificed, do you see the mistake? It was your choice. No matter what people will say to you or do to you, you will not really feel it. You will never have the feeling that people around you really understand what you sacrificed in order to get there where you are now in the external world. And the bigger this pain gets, the more validation you seek there. The problem with the validation on the external is that the validation will never be enough. The validation cannot come just from the external. Even if everybody applauds, even if everybody looks up to you, if you don't feel it, really feel it, and you still judge yourself that you didn't reach the illusion, that validation will never be enough. It may be enough for 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years. But it will slowly vanish. As I said, we prioritize more and more the external as the internal, and we get more and more outside of us, or away from us. And we don't even realize that there is a gap. and that this gap becomes bigger and bigger. We always seek for validation, which doesn't come in the way that we expected. We are still somehow not enough, not good enough compared to someone or compared to our illusion. And we add even another layer, and even another layer, and even another layer. And we get so much identified with this person that we think we are. With identification comes also you feel threatened that you lose your identity. And with that comes as well control. On one hand, we seek for validation. On the other hand, there are lots of sides of identification. On the other hand, you feel threatened to lose your identity. If you are really, really into your identity, like you really identify with this being busy, or I am successful, I am talented, whenever something comes up that threatens your identity, you will start judging, justifying, and controlling. When you think and want to put yourself out there as a really busy person, for example, and you meet with another person, and somehow in the discussion, it feels like the other person is even more busy than you. You feel suddenly less, right? And you feel threatened because this is what you identify with. This is you being busy. How can somebody else be more busy than you? This is a problem. And you start to justify in your head, or even to the other person, why you aren't as busy as the other. And at the same time, you also judge. You judge yourself that you are not busy enough because, look, compared to the other person, you are less busy. So you judge yourself, but also you judge the other person and start to think of reasons why this other person can even be more busy than you. Like, I don't know, maybe this other person doesn't have a cat or a dog that needs to be fed and walked out. Really weird things. But this is what identification does with us. We try to control this image and we try to protect it. And that costs us a lot of energy. A lot of energy that we could invest in something else. Something that makes more sense, actually. But we choose to invest it in something external, in this illusion of who we should be for us, for ourselves, and who we should be for the world. And wasting so much energy, demands validation. But the validation will never come back. Not in a way that it will ever be enough. So, why do we choose to run after an illusion? And why do we always think that we should be something that we aren't? Instead of looking at what we are, and who we are, and where we are.